This is, I'm proud to say, a few fellow...
Hi friends, I'm Maria Meliora. Welcome to my channel. We're gonna talk about my apparently 2-year-long subscription to the decant service called ScentBird. This is a United States-based venture. I'm not sure if they send anywhere outside of the United States, maybe to Canada. I'm not actually certain about it. The only interaction as a blogger I had with them in my other channel, where they supplied me with one decant to review. So the one that I got for free as a PR sample was Extraordinary Tulip. Fully used it up. Actually, it's in my queue again because I can't find the bottle of it for a reasonable price, so I probably will get another decant. The whole brand was opened up to me by ScentBird. But ever since then, I started perusing their niche brands and was mostly interested in what they can offer in terms of exploring niche. That is very hard to try elsewhere, but they also have some really decent selection of designer brands. And for those of us who really get tired of things very quickly, I do really enjoy the kind of the system of decants where you get them with sometimes with a simple packaging, which is like a cardboard, and sometimes with a metallic case. But ultimately, it's very neat how they package them. Now all subscription services, I think, use exactly the same type of bottle and spray, and they do kind of look neat all put together for those of you who might be a little bit obsessive compulsive about your decants and how they look. So yeah, buying them from subscription services produces a very kind of uniform and structured sample sets. There's been basically dozens. I'm afraid of even counting how many decants I actually got from the website. Probably 3 dozen or more, probably more than that. To be completely honest, and this is probably a dangerous thing for me as a perfume reviewer to say, that most of my collection could easily be packaged in the size of 8 milliliters, and I would probably be as happy in terms of wearing fragrance as I am now, because at that point, after a month of heavy wear, or let's say 3 months, 6 months of light wear, that affair with the fragrance would run out of steam pretty confidently, and I would be ready to move on to something new and exciting. So I do appreciate the decant services a lot. I find that ScentBird is one of the kind of golden standards at this point in the industry, even though I do buy decants from Perfume.com and Fragrance.com, which is FragranceNet, and the Perfume.com is the same company as FragranceX.com. And there are, I think, more services popping up here and there, but I find that the selection of ScentBird still shows a lot of exquisite taste, and that's also something that I care about. I don't as much as I do want my decants cheaper, I also want a selection where I don't spend 3 days perusing the website and finding nothing that I would be interested in. ScentBird, especially when it comes to niche, is a treasure trove of a lot of brands that would be way too expensive to buy blindly. Let's start with some of the fragrances. I got you 5 here, 5 that I love and 5 that were actually disappointments. It's part of the course, you know, something you love, something you hate. Let's start from one disappointment. And by the way, all of these guys are available on my Mercari or eBay or Facebook shop page. Facebook prices will be a little bit cheaper because the fees are not as high as eBay and Mercari. So any of the fragrances that didn't work out for me, you can make yours. Anyway, the first one is Tisiana Terenzi. I've been circling like a shark around Tisiana Terenzi because they are doing some amazing sales in Eastern Europe. It's something, a bit of an enigma for me, to be honest. So I was really happy when when ScentBird finally brought Tisiana Terenzi on board and they started selling some of their decants. So here I have Spirito Fiorentino. Spirito Fiorentino. In a nutshell, most of Tisiana Terenzi fragrances, like a vast majority, have this very characteristic, super strong, super long-lasting, somewhat sour musk bases. Those are really appreciated by people who like, you know, beast mode type of perfumes. I am not a big fan, but I still wanted, you know, like, before I say no, I should at least give it a try. And Spirito Fiorentino in particular has a very similar formula to, it's a very close dupe to Francis Kurkdjian Baccarat Rouge Extract. It's either concentrate or extract. I think it's called extract. So they have the usual eau de parfum and the extract. The eau de parfum, I tested both. Not my cup of tea at all. It shares so much, it has so much in common with the Baccarat Rouge extract, with that iodine medicinal kind of hospital kind of smell. Like, to me, that really smells the kind of smell you get when you I don't know, when you're bleeding and you get a wrap around it. It's just doesn't really make me think of anything happy or sexy or seductive at all. But for that reason, Baccarat Rouge is just off limits to me in any its form. But I would say the eau de parfum is a little bit sweeter, this like ethyl maltol, kind of like liquid sugar, kind of cotton candy, mix with those medicinal iodine notes, while the extract is even more potent in its grabby, slightly sharp edge. Spirito Fiorentino, it could be like just the twin brother of the extract. So if you find that Francis Kurkdjian is too expensive, Spirito Fiorentino still can be found in some online discount stores for not cheap, but cheaper price than Baccarat Rouge, and the make of it is definitely along the lines of Baccarat in terms of this has extremely long sillage, lasts forever. It has a very potent movement. It kind of fills the room almost immediately. The case of this decant, smelled of it before I made like the first whiff. It's so potent that I'm not even gonna try to spray it because it makes me a little bit sick, that particular olfactory profile. But for those of you who love Baccarat Rouge, Spirito Fiorentino is probably the highest quality dupe that I've encountered so far. Let's take a hit. Atelier Bloem. Another one that is a very high on my list of favorites, though I do have some similar fragrances. This is why I haven't got the full bottle yet. Atelier Bloem New Amsterdam. If I'm not mistaken, this is my second decant. Yeah. One of them I think I got almost used up and lost somewhere. Don't laugh, somewhere in Amsterdam, Netherlands. I don't know how that happened. I think I was making a picture of it for Instagram, and then like a few hours later when I got back to my hotel, it was nowhere to be found. Anyway, New Amsterdam is kind of like powdery, soft, spicy floral. And even though I kind of feel it's probably not the most unique type of kind of dusty, powdery floral, it's definitely a very kind of bookworm appeal. It has so much library charm to me that I every time I wear it, I just want to like nest somewhere with a thick, big book, you know, like War and Peace kind of stuff. Get a lot of cookies, get a lot of coffee, get, you know, some kind of blanket and just like nest for hours. I love Atelier Bloem for like how delicate their blends are, and New Amsterdam is definitely one of those kind of wallflower charming scents that I really appreciate. All right, next. Acqua di Parma Mandola de Cecilia. I've been circling around this particular almond scent, almond cologne, for probably 7 months. I just couldn't. I love Acqua di Parma colognes. To me, this is what Jo Malone does not have, is that very fresh, juicy, gosh, my mouth is watering when I'm saying this, very clear sound to the perfumes of Acqua di Parma, like their colognes. I way more heavily I'm biased toward them as daily kind of light wear, flirty cologne-like perfumes than Jo Malone. And I was very tempted to buy this blind, the full bottle, and I'm glad I didn't. There are so many favorable references about Mandola de Cecilia, but to me this is anise with kind of like this overboiled vanillin. In Russia we call it kasha. It's basically you take some grains and you boil them with milk and water on sometimes spices, sometimes dried fruits. I think in England there's a similar thing, it's called porridge. So that's what it smells like. This kind of like rice with vanillin boiled with milk to death until it's just like a goo with anise, and I don't like either. So this is not the kind of almond that I love, and I'm more than happy to find like a second home for it. The one that stole my heart also came from ScentBird, and that is Barcelona Tardis. This is like a kiss of powdered sugar, just lightly covered almonds with powdered sugar, and just it's almost like a souffle of almonds with powdered sugar just melting in your mouth. It's so cuddly. It's also nude. It's kind of like, to me, these things come together. Anything that's like a nude type of fragrance, what I call them, something that is cuddle-like, something that you can only smell when you're really close to somebody else's skin. This is what Tardis is for me. It's such a comfort scent. Some people, however, can't even feel it much, which is surprising to me because I definitely get the soft sugar powder and the almonds underneath. But you know, I think that's kind of the fate of a lot of nude fragrances, that for people who prefer beast mode, super strong type of perfumes, they might not really even be able to smell at some point anything that is a little bit more subtle. In the similar vein, like I am adamant about some of the food comparisons for partially scientific and biological reasons. If you constantly eat super sugar saturated sweet desserts, or you know, like these mayonnaise, cheese, bacon baked dishes, as delicious as they are, don't take me wrong, immediately after that, putting raw sushi in your mouth, you will feel nothing. You will feel like you're eating, I don't know, cardboard. I think that's the same when it comes to perfumes. If you're constantly bathing yourself in overpowering sweets, spices, or zonic, which is very common to men's colognes, kind of notes, your receptors are losing sensitivity to the world of smells overall, and then you will have to increase and keep increasing the volume and the concentration, and then you will lose it either way. The desensitization of the receptors is a real thing. So to me, Tardis is one in the top 10 comforting, nude, kind of cuddly scents. And you see, they are somewhat similar in the way that both are light, non-offensive, kind of a nudie type of cologne-like fragrances. But Tardis I absolutely adore, and this is my second decant, and I already got myself a full-size bottle. And Mandola de Cecilia is a surprise disappointment from Acqua di Parma, even though I do like what Acqua di Parma does as a brand. All right, let's move on. Another one that I find to be suspiciously similar in the effect it creates. So I mentioned Atelier Bloem New Amsterdam. This is not the same type of perfume, but it is awfully similar in its effect. And this is Arquist the Architects Club. This is what I imagine architects, you know, like this very highbrow Manhattan studio gods would smell and look like. Very dry spices, quiet but I would say more persistent presence than Atelier Bloem. Arquist is kind of like a sneaky brand. It does have more longevity and a little bit more punch to their formulations. Arquist would probably win in that competition, and the Architects Club, even though I love New Amsterdam, I find that Architects Club is so close to it, but I get the whiff, I get the kind of the trail of the perfume a little bit longer, and therefore, guilty as charged, I prefer it a little bit more. So I kind of use them interchangeably, and at this point, it's only a matter of which bottle pops up somewhere online on a bigger discount for me to actually get something like that. All right, the next one. Aha! That would be a twist. This is also Arquist, but this is a huge disappointment for me. Arquist La Trog. I hope I'm saying it right. So I showed it to you fairly recently in a haul, because ever since I encountered the Architects Club, I thought, okay, Arquist is my brand, I gotta try everything. Luckily for me, ScentBird has one of the widest selections of Arquist brand decants. So La Trog is supposed to be their version of refreshing, very lemony type of lemonade type of colognes or like eau de toilettes. I'll give it that, it's very strong. It's very flamboyant, strong, and in your face. But to me, this is a synthetic attempt at representing lemonade or orange. I do find that La Trog is a bright and somewhat green bergamot attempt at giving you this very acidic and zesty without being too sour of a lemon juice. But you know where the bar really is, like the absolute, in my not so humble opinion, the absolute imperfection, the most realistic, deep, multi-dimensional, mouth-watering lemon/lime scent is Frederic Malle Bigarade Concentrate. I had a decant. It kind of was the first lemon-centric, lemon/lime centric fragrance that I fell in love with. I'm not a big fan of lemons, partially because of these kind of attempts to represent them. I see a big difference between a juicy, fresh, ripe, aromatic lemon and the lemon acid that they can buy in the powder. It's just not the same to me. So for me, this is an acid powder and it's not fresh juiced lemons. Maybe because all of the green notes in La Trog kind of don't let it go toward a slightly oily and slightly sweeter nature of full lemon when you kind of bite it, or like when you sprinkle it with sugar. It just doesn't really go there. It stays at a very screaming high-pitched note that to me makes me think of classic eau de colognes for men, but it could be somebody's cup of tea. It's definitely potent. It's definitely not something you have to whiff around and like find the traces of. And then yet another twist. Also Arquist. Gosh, I should have just made it into a review of Arquist brand, but maybe later when I acquire more decants I will do the brand review. Let me know in the comments below if you're interested. But this one, oh my god, it's so good. It's so hard to find that another decant is in my queue. It's Arquist Anima Dulcis. Oh, Dulces? Unbelievably delicious gourmand. a little bit sour, just like dried apricots, you know, like the Turkish kind of fatty, oily, dried Turkish apricots can be. They're both oily, sweet, aromatic, but a little bit sour. It's probably, with addition of, it seems, some kind of honey, some kind of amber accord, some other maybe caramel-like sweetness as well. It's unbelievable. It's just, I want to eat it. I want to eat this fragrance. It's so good. It's the best kind of dried apricots that I've ever had. It brings up really good memories. The absolute best apricots obviously you can get in the Middle East and North Africa. One day, I'll go there and try them. This is so yummy. To me, this is what Serge Lutens Arabi didn't quite deliver. But this is perfect. This is just, words. I'm out of words. I can't describe it. Another disappointment that we're going to talk about is another Tisiana Terenzi, and this is where I decided to kind of close the chapter of me trying Tisiana Terenzi, because I do find the base of the perfume very similar to Spirito Fiorentino, and the more I read the reviews, oh gosh, it smells so, I'm sorry, I have to put it back. It's just their perfumes stink with that sour musk. It will stink up the whole room if I don't put it back in its box. That sour musky base is ever present in all their creations, with one notable exception, which, if you're curious, we can talk about Tisiana Terenzi more. Maybe I will even do a brand review, because I tried a few of their perfumes, and every single time, with exception of one, the sour musk just drives me nuts. It's drilling in my head. It's like it just makes holes in my nose. It's so potent. It's unlike any other musk I've ever tried. Tom Ford, Narciso Rodriguez, Frederic Malle, and like some others, their musks are warmer, skin-like, gourmet, very, I want to say boiled, sweet boiled musks. This is the kind of musks that brings you to fruity acids. And Kirche, which is the fragrance in question here, I already talked about it briefly in my fragrance fails, and I will talk about it again here. This is the most musky, sour pineapple I've ever encountered in my life. And I thought I liked pineapple as a fruit in both real life and perfumes, but no. The Kirche by Tisiana Terenzi convinced me that pineapple has to be dealt with extreme care when it comes to perfumes, because it very easily can go into this kind of cheap food odorant, you know, like for those juice or cocktail sugar concoctions, or toward kind of fabric softeners, you know, and those kind of things. So a realistic, interesting pineapple, this could be, they come together, the pineapple accord and the musky base of Tisiana Terenzi together in Kirche, and they make a nuclear explosion of acid sourness that just doesn't go away. It just grabs onto your skin and it lives for a week at least. Again, if nothing lasts on you, if you can't find any fruity or pineapple-like fragrance that you actually would stay on you for longer than 15 minutes, try, please take it off my hands. I'm happy for it to find second home, because I understand rationally that perfumes that have so much movement and so much staying power probably are likely to be bestsellers. But for me, this is just like immediately, it's immediately off limits for me. And the last one that I'm gonna show you today, because as you know, I have way more. Maybe at some point we can do another installment. Let me know in the comments, like, do you want to continue talking about my experience with ScentBird decants and what's in my queue and what I'm looking forward to? You just let me know. The last one for today is gonna be Clinique Christian Rock Rose, which, if I'm not mistaken, isn't it labdanum? First things first, Clinique fucking Christian. You get it, right? It's like $300 a bottle. $15. $15 for 8 ml. The fact that ScentBird still carries such brands as Amouage, Clinique Christian, I think they even have something by Raja Perfumes. It's just mind-blowing to me how good of a job they do getting these brands on board. This is what I would call a unlikely favorite. This, to me, is kind of like a woody floral suede in a way. That's something that I will keep wearing, and I highly recommend you try it. This is really good blend. Rock Rose, Clinique Christian. And that concludes my review of hits and misses that I got from ScentBird. It's really fun. It's fairly affordable, especially if you're interested in exploring niche space. I find that for designer fragrances, the only thing that you're winning is space, because by now we all know you can get almost any designer brand for a quarter of a price if you just look for it online, compared to, I don't know, department store prices, Sephora prices, and yada yada. But when it comes to niche, it's very hard to find a reliable seller of decants where you can know that you're getting authentic product, it's gonna be well packaged, and from a seller that has good taste in selecting what kind of niche they bring on board. For that particular reason, I still find that ScentBird is probably my top. A lot of other perfume subscription services just don't have the kind of thoughtful selection that I would call supreme. Also, ScentBird has very good web design comparatively to many others, and that's, to me, it's kind of fun, because I confess I do tend to every once in a while spend an evening rearranging my queue and just constantly moving things around. So okay, that will be great in August, that I will light in September, oh maybe not this, maybe that, oh but if I could get like 3 menthols together, that would make sense. I could have like 3 different fragrances from the same brand. So like I spend a lot of time kind of obsessing my queue, and I like that their design makes it easy and kind of fun to not just buy things, because any e-commerce website can do that, but their website is also good for browsing and reading and discovering things. Yep. That's what I have for today. Now you let me know what you think of the service. Have you ordered anything? Are there any other subscription services that you particularly love? What do you think about decants in general? I know that there are some polarized views about whether decants are good, bad, a waste of money even, or the opposite. I would love to know what you guys have to say, and I'll see you in the next video.